Hello everyone! Today I will be presenting the painting entitled The Dam Cast into Hell, also known as The Punishment of the Damned by Luca Signorelli. The artwork was completed between the years 1499 to 1503. Before we start, here is a quick zoom on the details of the painting. The fresco is located in the Orvieto Cathedral, more specifically in the San Brizio Chapel. Fra Angelico was originally hired in 1447 to paint the San Brizio Chapel, but ended up spending one summer on it, in which only 2 segments of the vault were completed because he never returned to Orvieto. In 1499, over 50 years later, Luca Signorelli was commissioned by the cathedral authorities to complete the vault, adhering as closely as possible to Angelico's original scheme. Author Sarah Nair James wrote how visitors of the Gothic cathedral experience a drastic change from the tranquil zebra-striped nave into the Cappella Nuova, giving visitors a sense of entering a theater in the round during a performance where the audience is overwhelmed by huge apocalyptic scenes of the Last Judgment. She further mentions how Signorelli used a continuous narrative for his dramatic story and expanded the field of his compositions by painting his figures on a monumental scale, by bringing the figures close to the picture plane, and by minimizing landscape scenery. James also makes the case that the apocalyptic scenes are not just artistic frescoes, but are part of a bigger picture where they all represent a coherent whole in the Roman liturgical practices. As such, for the devout contemporaries, it was apparent that the decorations symbolized the end and the beginning of the liturgical year, with the apocalyptic scenes representing the Christian period of the Advent, or preparation for the birth of Christ until Christmas and for the second coming of Christ. The chapel's frescoes follow the theme of the biblical story of the Last Judgment, where Signorelli depicts alternating and engaging choreographies of salvation or redemption and damnation. The dam cast into hell is located next to the altar wall on the right side of the chapel, which is Christ's left side, symbolizing the damned being sent to hell as told in the story of the Last Judgment. This story foretells the Christian prophecy where Jesus Christ will come down to earth from heaven, an event known as the Second Coming, in which he will judge all humans and send the sinners to hell, while the elected will be saved and sent to heaven. It is noteworthy to mention the depiction of Christ as a gentle figure, which is different from the wrathful judge of many medieval Last Judgment compositions. In this composition, rather, he represents Christ the Redeemer, not so much a judge. Nonetheless, the Last Judgment is from Matthew 25:31-46, and here is a short passage describing the event. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate people one from another as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats, and he will put the sheep at his right hand and the goats at the left. Then the king will say to those at his right hand, "Come, you that are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." Then he will say to those at his left hand, "You that are accursed, depart from me into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me, naked, and you did not give me clothing, sick and in prison, and you did not visit me." And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. This biblical quote alludes to sheep and goats, and it is understood that the sheep represent the faithful, while the goats the sinners. Back in the day in Palestine, it was a common sight to see mixed flocks of white sheep and black goats. The subject of the Last Judgment was popular throughout the Renaissance, and it was often used as a visual means to showcase the punishment and rewards that would await humans at the end of time. However, most artists depicted the scene in a single composition. For example, Giotto's Last Judgment fresco was painted as such. Here we see German artist Stefan Lochner's rendition of the piece. And finally, here is Michelangelo's rendition of the Last Judgment. In the following quote, author James gives a description about the imagery of the damned cast into hell. Signorelli portrays all of the figures, angels, damned, and devils alike, with human form. While armored archangels above impassively keep watchful guard, nude humans and devils below viciously wage hand-to-hand combat, evenly matched, same size, and similarly vigorous of strength. Only the devils' horn helmets and lurid skin tones depicted in the iridescent colors of the putrid flesh distinguish them from the damned. As the quote explains, the painting shows men and women screaming in pain while their contorted bodies are being tortured by colorful demons. On the left corner of the scene, the fiery pits of hell are burning unfortunate souls and awaiting the next. Above the crowd of the damned, the archangels Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael are standing on clouds and are dressed in armor with their swords at their side, while naked humans and demons are tumbling through the sky. It appears that they are wearing an Italian contemporary armor, perhaps trying to showcase the soon-to-arrive end of times. The archangels are menacing the damned who try to fly upward instead of downwards towards the flames of hell. Two humans are hurrying to escape their punishment but are being brought back down into the chaos on the backs of horned demons. Dr. Shannon Pritchard also writes how one of the most striking features of this fresco is Signorelli's representation of the nude bodies, including the demons' bodies, although their genitalia are covered with some kind of fur. The figures are shown to be muscular, even hypermuscular in some instances, and shown in a multitude of positions. It is not surprising that the interest in the human physique in its most muscular form inspired an entire generation of Renaissance artists following the rediscovery of classical antiquity and Greek statues such as the Doryphorus statue. Some scholars have suggested that Signorelli's works inspired Michelangelo's, as seen in his work entitled The Battle of Cascina, created shortly after the completion of the San Brizio Chapel. Both Signorelli and Michelangelo were interested in showcasing different states of emotion, and in the damned cast into hell, we can certainly notice figures with their mouths open in exclamation and other expressions of fear and anxiety. Additionally, Pritchard notes how the brightly colored demons are pushing, pulling, tying up, and exacting all manner of physical torture on the sinners whose bodies are equally contorted, struggling to break free. The demons' bodies are different colors such as slate blue, crude purple, heavy green, and livid mauve, and sometimes all these poisonous-looking colors fade into one another. The death-like colors emphasize the demons' appearance of strength and malevolence as they triumph in their work of torture. The putrid cool-tone colors of the demons are also contrasting the softer and warm-tone colors of the archangels' wings. The demons' malevolence and brutal fury is shown as they are clawing their prey, tearing at their throats, and wrenching back their heads. We can feel the horror and anguish of the victims, making the scene ghastly and terrible, thus successfully giving it a savage grimness. To conclude, Signorelli opened the door for succeeding artists such as Michelangelo to continue the study of the human body in relation to classical ideals, while depicting realistic, three-dimensional, and vivid scenes from the Bible. The damned cast into hell remains a macabre scene as part of a whole narrative from the San Brizio Chapel. Signorelli is also known to leave his signature on his artwork in the shape of a self-portrait, and in the damned cast into hell, he personified himself in the shape of a blue demon with a white horn while grabbing a woman by the waist as she struggles to free herself. In the following quote, author Simon Abrahams theorizes about the meaning of this artistic decision from Signorelli. The demonic self-portrait is inside his own mind, since our perception of other people can only be a composite of what we know about ourselves, so everyone we know is a reflection of us too. Thus, all the characters in these imagined hells, whether in Orvieto and the Sistine Chapel, or in Dante's Inferno, whether demon or damned, represent varying aspects of the author himself, his mental features personified. As we can see, Abrahams hints that Signorelli painted himself as a demon because that's what was going on in his head. If this is true, then it seems accurate due to the extreme religiosity of that time, in which most people probably saw themselves as sinners, fearing their impending doom, not knowing if they would get to heaven. The final question remains: who is the mysterious woman Signorelli is grabbing by the waist, who also appears 2 more times throughout the painting? Could she be his lover? Perhaps they were not married and had an affair. This could certainly explain why they are both depicted as sinners. Thank you for watching.